Every spring you start over, new seeds, new soil, new money. But certain perennial crops never need replanting. They multiply underground, year after year, as zero effort forever food. The problem starts when they refuse to stop. Traditional gardening demands an annual reset. Every spring, the grower must till the soil, purchase seeds, and dedicate hundreds of hours to nursing delicate annuals that die at the first frost. The cycle leaves food security vulnerable to supply chain breakdowns and sudden labor shortages. Perennial crops offer a structural alternative. Indigenous societies relied on these permanent food systems for centuries, recognizing that extensive root networks eliminate the need for seasonal tillage and keep producing on marginal ground. For the self-reliant grower, this continuity shifts food production from a fragile seasonal hobby into permanent, low-maintenance, edible infrastructure. The food remains underground, protected from winter freezes, acting as a living food reserve that returns year after year. When labor and planting capacity are limited, eliminating the annual garden reset transforms food production into a durable shield against disruption. Low-effort cultivation requires realistic expectations, rather than zero labor, focusing instead on minimizing ongoing inputs. The Jerusalem artichoke serves as the primary case study for this underground, self-multiplying approach. While many perennial crops offer little more than leafy garnishes, these robust tubers provide genuine fuel. A single cup delivers roughly 110 calories. Once established, these stands produce highly concentrated tuber networks year after year without replanting. This continuous growth pattern transforms a basic garden plot into semi-permanent, edible infrastructure. The plants multiply aggressively with minimal intervention, creating a secure, high-yield carbohydrate reserve that remains protected beneath the soil, ready for harvest whenever conventional supply chains fail. This aggressive growth comes with a sharp trade-off. Left unchecked, the subterranean rhizome and tuber system colonizes surrounding soil, turning a reliable food plot into an invasive weed problem. Containment requires physical control logic. Installing 60-centimeter deep barriers, planting in heavy raised beds, or sinking sturdy containers into the earth blocks the creeping rhizomes from escaping. Long-term management demands systematic annual harvesting and regular perimeter checks to catch rogue shoots before they establish new colonies. Uncontrolled stands can quickly shift the homesteading workload from effortless cultivation to constant weeding. Beyond the soil, these tubers present another obstacle. They are rich in inulin-type fructans, a complex carbohydrate that the human digestive system cannot easily break down. For many, consuming large portions triggers severe digestive distress, gas, and cramping. Managing the crop's physical boundaries and processing the tubers properly is the only way to turn this permanent food source into a dependable food reserve. Relying on a single perennial is a structural mistake. True food independence requires a division of labor where different crops perform specific nutritional and ecological jobs. While carbohydrate-heavy roots fill the cellar, Apios americana fills the protein gap, providing 15 to 17% protein on a dry matter basis. In cooler regions, Kernza protects the soil with deep, erosion-preventing roots, though its low-grain yields make it more of an ecological stabilizer than a primary calorie engine. In southern climates, Yukon thrives as a sweet, water-rich root, yet its high water content provides little actual energy. Productive plants are not always staple crops. Building a reliable food reserve means selecting species for their specific climate fit and nutritional role, rather than chasing a single miracle crop. Establishing a permanent sunchoke plot takes less than a weekend. Select a small patch of ground with full sun and well-drained soil. Skip the elaborate tillage and soil prep required by typical annuals. Instead, dig holes 10 centimeters deep, spacing the tubers 60 centimeters apart. This spacing matters far more than perfect soil chemistry. Once covered, The bed requires almost no intervention during the growing season. The workflow is straightforward. Let them grow. Wait for the first hard frost to kill the tall tops, and then harvest. Lift the roots with a garden fork, leaving a few tubers behind to seed the next generation. Store the harvested tubers in a cool, humid space between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius. There, they will stay fresh for up to 6 months, acting as a reliable, self-replenishing winter food reserve. Establishing a perennial system requires restraint, not an overnight conversion. Because some jurisdictions actively regulate aggressive perennial species, starting with a small, deliberate bed is the safest initial strategy. This restricted footprint keeps growth manageable, while immediately cutting down on repeated seed purchases and external inputs. Over time, integrating a mixed perennial patch balances individual plant vulnerabilities, ensuring that one failure does not collapse the entire food supply. Permanent edible infrastructure is not an excuse for careless planting. True self-reliance coordinates calorie crops, support vegetation, and site limits within a tightly controlled landscape. True security isn't bought seasonally, it is anchored in the soil. Permanent, self-reliant infrastructure guarantees survival no matter what comes. Subscribe to secure your food independence.